So when it comes to filming yourself like you're in a movie, it requires a lot of intention. And oftentimes people just kind of, plot down their camera and their tripod wherever and they just start rolling. But it requires much more than that. It's between framing, the tools that will help you frame, lighting, and most important, trying to create some type of story, even if it's just beautiful imagery.
I'm happier than ever, like I never thought forever was you. My skies are blue, dancing kind of weather, back together like I wasn't into. Thought I was doomed, happier without you.
So obviously you guys can see kind of a difference on the BTS shot right now. It doesn't look nearly as magical because I put zero intention into this. I just literally put the tripod down, put the camera, aimed it towards here because I'm just trying to relay some information to you guys. But if we want to be more intentional, we have to learn how to use our rule of thirds, but also get a little bit creative with it. The rules in photography and filmmaking are made to be broken. The directors and DPs that we worship, they broke the code and they stood out because they had their own unique ideas that didn't go with the rules. If it feels good, if it looks good, it's good. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter how you shot it, what you shot it on, blah, blah, blah. If it looks good, it looks good. Again, in the second part, we'll go over this wireless monitor here, but this is what's allowing me to, see what the heck I'm doing. This shot doesn't really look that great, honestly. I'm not using any photography or filmmaking rules as a foundation at all. I'm not even breaking them. I'm just carelessly plotting down my tripod and my camera, and that's it. But if I was to use more intention, let me show you what that would look like. I want to utilize the rule of thirds, but I also want to do something a little bit different and break the rules a little bit. So you guys are seeing what I'm seeing right now on the back of my monitor, and this is our original framings. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just center it with this road. I'm seeing multiple issues. The first issue is the camera's kind of tilting down. So it's going to make my body look a little weird. So you can see I look like Stumpy. I'm going to straighten this out. Now that right there could be a good shot, but I want to be a little more creative with it. And I want to just tilt the camera up like this, and you guys can see how much more interesting that just made the frame. So now I can record from this camera. I'm gonna take my monitor with me. I don't like how I'm blocking the road. So the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna come off to the side a little bit right here. And now you can still see down the road. And now I'm using the rule of thirds. Let me show you what the rule of thirds are. See that little point, that little crossing section right there, that's your rule of third. So we have the top right, we have the top left, the bottom right, the bottom left. All those points where they intersect, that's your rule of thirds. You can favor those lines and put your subject right into those zones, and it's going to create more intriguing framing compositions. So you can just see overall, there's this odd balance to it that's intriguing to the eye. Now you can imagine if we had some gorgeous light and I was backlighting myself, there's so much more we could do with this. But we're just working with what we have, and this is the light that we have right now. All right, guys, I was about to start talking about the monitor, but here's another little bonus tip I'm going to throw in here. Put your camera where you don't think it should go, usually. So you can see this did take me a good 30 minutes, sadly. So, when it comes to trying to create more cinematic, intentional, videos, it takes more effort. You can't be lazy. It takes more time. But I just have this going into a super clamp, into the Mofage Talent super arm, magic arm thing. And then that's obviously holding the camera up. And then I have a magnetic arm on here, and that's holding the wireless receiver so I can actually see on the back of the monitor here. And then I'm getting creative with my rearview mirror right here. So this way I'll be able to talk to the camera still, but you're seeing where I'm going. When you start creating movement without the camera moving, it's cinematic. So before having a wireless setups like this, I would just have to walk back and forth to the back of the camera and make sure I was in focus, make sure my composition was right, and I had to keep doing that back and forth. This is why wireless monitoring is so incredibly important, because you can't do setups like this unless you can see what the hell you're doing. So I love putting in my own LUTs on there because it gets really close to what the final image is going to look like. But a lot of the times on trips like this, I need something a little bit more robust because a lot of the times I'm getting far away from my camera and I don't want any dropouts. And using the wireless apps, they're great in a pinch, but they're not you can't count on them at all because they drop out all the time. And if there's too many Wi-Fi frequencies and too many disruptions, it creates a headache. You can obviously, you know, use your iPhone and the wireless apps that all the manufacturers have, but when you're filming in conditions like this, half of the time it just doesn't work. If you get too far from the camera, the app disconnects. If you're in a busy area, there's a lot of interference. There's always bugs and quirks. So this, it's just honestly, guys, it's just a lot more intuitive and easier to use. Let's talk a little bit about this monitor, because this is a first. It's the first like smart wireless monitor. I don't know how far I am, but again, I'm on a 50mm 1.33x anamorphic, and we're filming in full frame 3x2 open gate. I still have clear signal. I don't know when this would drop out, but my mic probably dropped out by now. But yeah, you guys can see how beautiful the shot is. And now we are backlighting like I was talking about. And you can see it has a little bit more of a glowy cinematic type feel to it. But now that we've gone through all that, let's start talking about this monitor. Because as you guys can tell, this thing's kind of a necessity. Now, not this exact monitor, but, you know, a wireless monitor, period. This is the first time where, you know, a wireless monitor almost feels like I'm using my iPad. That's what I was doing before, was I was transmitting to my iPad, so I could still use all the apps and everything. And this basically is going to replace that, because this is running an Android operating system on there. All right, guys, so yes, this is using Android. Just having an Android-based system on here, it's been incredibly fluid. We are getting a 4K signal out of this, but it's a 1080 screen. But regardless, it's actually incredibly fluid. It's almost as if I'm just using my iPhone, or I've never touched an Android. This is the only Android I would ever touch. And happily, it doesn't look pixelated. You know, like when someone with a gross Android texts you on her iPhone, it comes in like it's freaking from the 1800s. We're not getting into that on here. So the first thing that I was scared about is I saw it was 1,000 nits in output. I feel like it might be a little bit more brighter than that, actually. Every monitor that leaves their factory is calibrated, and they put their own LUT with a custom calibration for that exact monitor, which is also dangerous, because if you do a firmware update, it will delete that calibration. So you have to back it up, so you make sure you don't lose that. Just a couple years ago, if you wanted the best of the best gear, you had to pay prices, like high-end prices for that. And now we're getting like accessible consumer type pricing on these type of products. So, you know, anybody who's like, oh, I can just use my iPad. Again, I was doing that, but the issue is it overheats really quick. Literally within a few minutes of using it in conditions like this, it would just start overheating. And when the iPad or iPhones overheat, they dim the output. And so half of the time it was useless for me, because I couldn't even freaking see the screen. You're not gonna have the issue with this, because this is an actual proper professional external wireless monitor. There's gonna be a firmware coming soon to where, say if you're using this as like an on-camera monitor, you'll be able to transmit the signal straight from the camera. And so if you have a second one of these, you'll be able to use that as a receiver. But my current setup is I'm using one of Accsoon's 4K transmitters. We actually have internal storage on here. So if you have a client and you're trying to, you know, record what you guys are filming and everything, you'll be able to record directly into the internal storage. But we also have an SD card slot in here, USB-C power delivery on the back of here. Do you know how crazy that is? Every other monitor, you have to go through MPF or DTAP or like a barrel connector or 2-pin LEMO connect, like a million different things. We're doing fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. All right, guys, I'm filming on the DJI Osmo 360 again, just with the onboard mic. So hopefully it sounds decent. The last and final tip is shooting for the edit. So what does that mean? When I was doing the little segment where I was putting the lens on, I was just using my BTS camera with the autofocus zoom lens, nothing special. And I got an idea on the spot of an edit. And the edit was all of like these quick cuts of me opening the door, grabbing a lens, like blah, 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 blah. The fact that I saw the edit in my head, I knew what I needed to shoot. So there's times where you just have beautiful scenery and the lights just hitting, and you can just put your camera down and you're gonna get beautiful shots. But then there's other times where you need to put more intention on what the final shots are gonna be edited like together. The only way to grow in this aspect is to study film. So that's where the next step comes up. And, you know, you actually have to watch the movies, watch your favorite movies and break down what it is about them that you like. Lighting, it could be the acting, it could be the story, it could be the environment, the cinematography, or just the editing itself. So a lot of the times where I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do, even if I'm doing run and gun stuff, I still go to Shot Deck and I still, you know, study and find shots that I could try to mimic. I don't want to copy them to the T, but I want to use them as motivation and as kind of like a guideline to push my own creativity and to do something unique. with that foundation. So yeah, I think out of this whole video, I think that's the most important tip. Whole Accsoon wireless setup, they now have V-mount support. So you can see, you can get this bracket with it. I bought this myself. So this is the transmitter right here, and it tucks right into the center there. And you can see you can easily take it on and off. And then we have V-mount. So it's gonna push power through. I needed to operate. I can just keep it like this. Like this is a super fluid setup here. Obviously I'm gonna put my focus motor on in a moment here, but from here, say if I need to step inside, I'm gonna bring a chair up and everything, my laptop, or maybe my film notes, I gotta figure it out. But from right here, I just get all my settings set up. Originally, I wasn't sure if I was gonna cover this monitor, but then I got to try it. I tried out Connor's and I was like, okay, I need to make this happen because this is actually like a really amazing fluid setup. Literally Android's running in the background here. So in the future, you're gonna be able to like download apps. So say if I want to wirelessly control my Lumix app, do all my settings from there and then go back into the Accsoon app and there I go. I see my whole exposure. So this is the first time there's been some innovation in the monitor side of what we do here. Traditionally, you know, they have their own operating systems, but on here, the fact that they just based it on Android, it's basically a smart monitor now. Filming like this, again, I've been going between more professional wireless setups, but those have been kind of a headache because sometimes there's just, it's like overkill and bulky setup gets in the way. And then I was trying to go to an iPad setup because it's very intuitive and smart. But even that, again, with the screen dimming and everything, that would also become a headache. So finally, this is the best of both worlds. This is why I was like, Accsoon, let's freaking do this, please, please overnight this shit to me because I want to start using it immediately. And I just had an idea. I bet I could download a notes app and download notes and send notes directly to this monitor. But yeah, that's the Accsoon monitor. Again, I'm able to do this video because Accsoon is sponsoring this video. And I love talking about this type of stuff, like the process of creating the videos that I care more about. Let's talk about the screen quality real quick. I feel like they tuned the screen to match the iPhone screens, but as I said, they calibrate each monitor, but you can still stack your own custom LUTs on top of that. So I imported my Rambler film emulation LUTs and I'm able to bake that in, even if I'm recording directly on the monitor or just using it as a reference LUT. And last thing here, obviously we have full anamorphic support and you can actually put in your own custom D-stretch options too, which is super important, especially if you're using something like the Blazar Mantis that kind of have like an awkward D-stretch value. I asked Accsoon too if they could include vertical D-stretch and they said they could work on that as well. So I don't know if they really meant it, but we'll see what they end up doing with that. Hopefully I was able to inspire you to try something new and different. This was just kind of simple, the foundations of stuff, nothing too in-depth. But yeah, I highly recommend this monitor. Usually I don't recommend things, like I'll share things and I just share my perspective on it. But with this setup, I recommend this. If you're doing anything like I'm doing right now, you know, solo, intentional, cinematic type filmmaking, blah, 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 this is a killer combo. The only type of nightmare that I could see happening is when I'm filming in the desert with the 1000 nit output. You're gonna want to use the hood that comes with it. I kind of hope someone designs something where they can make a foldable hood so it protects the screen. I know this is a long segment on this, but truly, I'm excited about this. Guys, this is why I'm loving this monitor. I can literally within seconds go from having an on-camera monitor to having a wireless monitor.